All right, all right, all right. We are back with another episode of the Rookieville podcast presented by Ballsville. I'm your host, JoJo, joined again by my guy, Tennessee Nick. What's going on, my guy? How's the new house?
It's doing good. Sorry if my stream is a little bit laggy. I'm still on a hotspot, so bear with me here. How you
Hotspot
doing,
or
JoJo?
dial up, man? You got the.
Exactly.
We were waiting to get that fiber in the house, man. No worries, man. We'll bear through it. Man, we just had you and I both had life events. You obviously just moved to a new house. It was my birthday weekend, so sorry for the hiatus, everyone at Ballsville watching. But we are here. The combine just ended. And Nick, do you want to just have any initial takeaways? Again, I mean, just in general, some of the top three guys didn't perform. Do you have any takes on prospects not testing at the combine?
Yeah, I'm obviously if they don't have anything to prove, like a Fernando Mendoza, it's a good move. But I mean, you got to look at it as a job interview, and if you flake an interview, some scouts and GMs might be a little hesitant to draft you. But definitely, if the stats prove you don't have to perform and they already know, then I mean, by all means. But it's a risk. It's a gamble. It could fluctuate or it could go up or down. What do you think of that?
No, definitely. I 100% agree with that. If you have nothing to gain, and why put yourself out there if you had a bad day, right? Because then it only hurt you in that sense, especially if you're one of the top ranked guys in the class, right? But it does raise questions about competition, right? It could to some degree, right? I mean, granted, some of these guys at the top, they're not scared of competition. Let's be real. But at the same time, it just raises some concerns by character, I guess. And then they go in the interview rooms, and that's where they peel the onion back even more. But we're going to try to make sure that this is still worth the fantasy spin on it, even though we still like to kind of get in the nitty gritty with the technical stuff here on this. But we're not going to go too far in the top three again, because if you guys were tuning in on the last week's main pod, we did cover the top three wide receivers. But what we will do, since the combine just ended, Nick, do you have a change in your top three?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if anything, I mean, it's obviously Fernando 1, Love 2.
I meant the receivers.
3 for
receivers.
Receivers.
The top three receivers.
I would probably still say Mackay and then Tate, then Tyson. Mackay, I really liked his college. I know he kind of bombed some of the interviews, but I kind of take that as a personality kind of trait. It doesn't really reflect his play on the field. But what about you, JoJo?
I'm still unchanged. Not docking Mackay or Jordan Tyson for not testing. I still have Tyson number 1. I still have Tate number 2, and I still have Mackay number 3. And so we're kind of in the opposite end of the spectrum on Mackay only, but it's all good. They're the top 3 in the class. I don't see that changing anytime from now until the draft even begins. So do you have any call outs though, before we go into just maybe the back half of that, the top 5, 6 in the class? Do you have any other things to add based on what we did discuss on last week's main pod?
I mean, not really per se. I mean, everybody kind of performed how I would like to see. I would kind of, if I was going to call anything out, I kind of wanted to see Emmett Johnson run a little bit faster, but I mean, he's not a speed back, but I think his productivity will be fine, fantasy wise and NFL wise. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we'll do I think we could also do a full-on combine review, and combined with how we're going to do the rankings episode, maybe the draft episode. We could kind of combine some of the things that we took away from the combine for all the other positions, because we're just doing receivers. So definitely though, Emmett kind of hurt himself. So coming on that note, he did kind of hurt himself in that sense. All right, so let's start with KC Concepcion. Yeah, I like to say it that way. And hopefully you guys have some fun when you guys announce your picks or say your picks in all your threads and your leagues, because he'll be a fun player just to say, and also to have in your financial roster, because he's a fun guy. He's a fun guy to watch on film. He's a fun guy to root for. He was very charismatic in his interviews. Obviously, he had a great story with he dealt with stuttering most of his life, actually all his life, things of that nature. So he's kind of that, puts himself out there, willing to be vulnerable and everything. So you kind of just want to root for the guy. And he's just got great tape. NC State to College Station at Texas A&M. The biggest thing is the size limitations, really, but the guy plays bigger than his size. He's an early producer. He broke out at NC State as a freshman. I think he had double-digit touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you have the college production pulled up, but I think he had double-digit touchdowns as a freshman. Obviously, he's a receiver plus special teams, so he's going to find ways to get the ball in his hands. I think whoever drafts him is going to have a big plan for him and just get the ball in his hands in year one. I hope so. Obviously, depending on landing spot, that proves a lot. I comped him to a base of a Christian Kirk, who's another former Aggie, because he's the inside out. He was utilized in very many ways. Khalil Shakur, another base comp. But if everything kind of aligns, I can start seeing a little Rashee Rice to Stephon Diggs. Neither of those guys are really return guys, but just the production that they have in the short and intermediate game. My other concern was drops. He did have 19 drops, but again, he also had a lot of volume. So I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. What about you on Casey Concepcion?
Yeah, and you're almost spot on. Actually, I think you were spot on in 2023, freshman at NC State. Yeah, he got 10 touchdowns, 839 yards, 71 receptions. So he's definitely pretty solid, and his athleticism transitioned to when he transferred to Texas A&M as an Aggie. But yeah, he's a guy I really think could be type of a gadgety type player in the NFL. Think Deebo Samuel. He also has the ability to return punts and kicks. So I think Rashid Shaheed, he has the he's a slant god. Catches a lot of balls, but he also has some drop concerns, which that's no good. And I agree with those comps. Hopefully he could be a type of a Rashee Rice type player, but he could I guess not get in trouble off the field to hurt his fantasy value there.
Absolutely. I think the Stephon Diggs, like the comp that I really liked about him and that comp was just the separation. And he actually ranked 96th percentile in the nation in separation. So he knows how to get open. And he also had he also did the same thing as the Kyle Lemon, 10 of 15 in contested catch situations. So again, that's why I was saying playing bigger than his size. Don't let the size fool you. He checks pretty much all the boxes. So I think he's kind of that. I think he's kind of like if you were to compare like the Ro Madunze, the Marvin Harrison, and Malik Neighbors class, and you had kind of BTJ on the outskirts. This is kind of where like he'd be in that BTJ realm of the back end of the first round, kind of like the forgotten guy, if you will, in the top three. So anyway, that's my take. Okay, Denzel Boston.
Yeah, he kind of does also kind of remind.
Go ahead.
Yep.
We got to deal with the
lag. So Denzel Boston. Yeah, just bear with us. So Denzel Boston, strength I have. He's a big receiver, physical threat, 6'4", 209. But he runs light like a lighter receiver, so think kind of like a Tez Johnson. He's got really good route running ability and could break away from the deep ball. He has exceptional hands. I believe he only had 2 drops last year, which is a major plus. I know scouts will definitely be looking his way when it comes draft time. I didn't pay too much attention to how he performed at the combine. I don't know. Did he test? I'm not sure.
That one I don't know either. Again, that was also on my birthday celebration. I was not paying attention to that one, so I still got more tape to go review on that one. So apologies. I'm still going off the tape. Sorry. Did you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to say, the floor is kind of like a Gabe Davis type player, but like his ceiling could be Michael Thomas. He has the size and the hands that Michael Thomas had. Michael Thomas was notorious for playing really well for his size and having exceptional hands. And I know that's something quarterbacks love, GMs, coaches love, and I know us fantasy degenerates, we love it as well.
I just love on tape and just like also like I also like to watch some interviews, like even if they're like the college, for their school newspaper or whatever it is, like it's their own college media that interviews them after games. And the guy just seems like he loves football. Like he just loves football. So he's a football player through and through. He does all the dirty stuff, even some of the decoy stuff. Like he'll run a deep post to clear things out and go to the run all the way to the opposite field and occupy the opposite field safety. And like that kind of stuff just matters to offensive coordinators because when they design things, obviously he's doing his job and we'll maybe get him involved even more and more, right? So he also, like you mentioned on the drops, he barely drops anything. He's only 3.1% across his entire career, 25% target share across his career. So he was definitely involved through and through. I think he was also at the school with Roma Dunze, played behind him. Very physical at the catch point, wins one-on-ones, all things that translate to fantasy production as well. Again, just kind of seeing if he's going to be more of a 1B in an offense, or if a team that has a huge wide receiver need. Let's say he falls obviously into day 2, goes to a team like the Raiders who don't really have a 1, but is he a true alpha? I don't know. But obviously landing spot would dictate that, and see if he is a 1 or maybe a 1B. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
The next one.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Cool. We're going to go right into Jeremy Bernard. Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. I'm going to lead us off here. I liked him and likened him to like a Robert Woods. I didn't even go with comps. I'm sorry. Denzel Boston. Some of my comps. I'm sorry, guys. Gabe Davis at the very floor. Michael Pittman. Cortland Sutton. And I think just because of his sheer size, and I think it could be a little bit of a learning curve and kind of get going. I think his ceiling comp could be like a Nico Collins, where it kind of took him a couple of years, and hopefully we have that fantasy goodness the way Nico Collins has helped our fantasy rosters. All right, so Jeremy Bernard, back to Jeremy Bernard. I just right into comps because when I first watched him play, because he's so physical, does a lot of the short area stuff, I just liked him to Robert Woods, and I think that was a great comp for him. Ball in his hands wise, he is kind of like a Puka because he does everything as well for Alabama. Very crisp route runner. I think he's one of the top in the class as far as route running ability, but he's not a speed guy, not by any means. But he will block his butt off too. That doesn't translate to fantasy, but again, time on the field. I'm just looking at the time on the field, and then maybe OCs seeing what he does, and then getting him more involved here. I'm trying to think of anyway. Oh, high IQ. That was evident also from interview recaps from GMs and other pundits out there, that he did really well in the interviews. So high IQ football. Any other thing from Jeremy Bernard on your end?
Yeah, so he's a very physical receiver. He's got some exceptional route running, can shake defenders and go for the deep ball. He has really great spectacular catch. Think kind of like an Odell Beckham Jr. I saw him make some pretty insane grabs over last season. Some comps for him. Yeah, I agree with the Puka comp with the hands and spectacular catch. I kind of also compare him to Jordy Nelson in the fact that he also just has really good hands. Jordy Nelson was notorious for not dropping the ball, and I kind of see the comp there. A tad bit more physical than Jordy Nelson, but since we're talking about Jeremy Bernard, since we're talking about Jeremy Bernard, I also kind of want to bring up his combine. I know he was kind of not very on the radar for some of us fantasy scouts over here, but yeah, 4.48 40, 32 and a half vertical jump, which is pretty good, and 10 feet 5 inches broad jump, which is also pretty incredible for his size. I think it definitely right.
Oh no. Might have lost Nick, boys and girls, but he's coming back. I'll just keep going a little bit more in there. Natural separator again, as I talk about, very experienced too. I think bottom line for this, if you're looking for a guy in your fantasy rosters or even just on the back end of your rookie drafts, I think he's one of those reliable guys. Not really a sexy pick by any means, but he definitely has a chance to produce in the early part of his career if he goes in the right landing spot. Of course, that's very cliche. But he can also make a run at any kind of position battle, I think. If he goes to a team, I'm trying to think spot on here, logjam, kind of like he's not going to over jump like a Wandale, but can you think of a landing spot where it's kind of like there's some comparable players in like a wide receiver 3, like Atlanta. Atlanta, like I think he could beat out a Darnell Mooney, right?
I think Atlanta.
they have a kind of, he's supposed to be an established too. He had a great
Or like a New
2024
Orleans Saints, like
New Orleans Saints even. Yeah. So they can use it too and kind of produce in year one. So yeah, those are some of the landing spots I think would be good for him. But if we're at this, we can just keep this moving, man. We got a lot more to cover here, especially when it comes to combine results and combine recaps from you. So do you have anyone in mind that like kind of jumped out at you from the combine?
Yeah, one that Chiefs life for Craig even was shouting out was Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of UConn. His tape is pretty good. My one comp is he kind of runs a little non-fluid, but that's just a personal pick because I mean he definitely could be a little quicker when he runs, but he's definitely good. He ran a 4.40, 41-inch vertical jump and 11-foot 1-inch broad jump. So he definitely.
How tall is he again? 6'1"? I think he's 6'1".
Let me see.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, he definitely surprised me at the combine, and I definitely think his stock could rise a little bit. My one comp, and I don't believe it's that bad of a comp, is just the level of competition he played with in college. UConn, they don't play the best competition, but I mean, I've seen stars like Rashid Shaheed. He played for Weber State, so take my comments with a grain of salt.
Interesting. No, I can see that. I kind of likened him more to, because a lot of the stuff that I saw on film was at the line of scrimmage. And I think I told you pre-show was over 800 yards of his 1278, especially in his final year, came from before and at the line of scrimmage. So more than 65% of his production, as far as yardage wise, with the yak ability. So that hasn't been super translatable. So Craig, to you, man, I would just put like a yellow flag out there, not necessarily a red flag. Just if you really truly believe in that being a translatable trait that can go to the NFL, we have seen like a Malik Washington was kind of used that way. He's kind of like a Zachariah Branch in this class too. Malachi Corley, everyone was calling him Debo. The Debo comp is very, I think, being a little overused since Debo came into the league. And there's only truly one Debo. I think I've said that on different pods in, Rookieville or Dynastyville and even on the main pod. I'm not a big proponent of using Debo comp, but I think I might be overusing Puka right now because Puka's been kind of, I think, 2 or 3 guys already. But again, I'm trying to liken that to how they were used in their system in college, not necessarily their comp. I think only got one guy truly to Puka. But anyway, let's just kind of keep it at the base minimum here. You did note on his athletic scoring. According to the RAS score, the athletic scores are like 9.6 out of 10. So the broad jump, the vertical jump, and the speed were just second to none necessarily in there. And then I watched his gauntlet drill, very, very smooth, poised, plucks everything out of the air, no body catches, didn't waver off the line. So a lot of scouts like to look at that just because not really favoring anything when he catches the ball. He was a Biletnikoff finalist too, so production's there. Production profile's there. Getting a light little boost with the combine. We'll see where he goes, Craig. I'm excited to see where he goes. I wasn't as high on him coming into the draft, but appreciate you allowing me to look into him a little bit more. So
absolutely,
I might snipe you though, not Craig. I might snipe you, maybe not.
Yeah, he's definitely on my draft radar as well now. I like what I see. I like to kind of see him break out and run the deep ball or run the deep routes a little bit more. But
I want to see that, and that's not to say he can't do it, right? We just didn't see it enough necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring up one name. It's another Bell, Chris Bell from Louisville. Now this boy is a stocky dude. I think he's kind of built like a running back, if you will, because he's just got a ton of muscle. He was tearing college up in the first 2/3 of the year because then he tore his ACL. I think it's one of those bad ACL injuries, so we'll see how the medical comes out on him. But he was just dominant. 72 catches, 917 and 6 tuds. He had plenty of games where he showed out. Pitt, Miami, Virginia, JMU, of course. But JMU was a good team. But 12 for 170, 10 for 135, 9 for 136, multiple scores in a lot of these games. So the production profile was there. Granted, he's also a late bloomer, if you will, because the production kind of and breakout kind of came late. So some pundits out there is like, is he kind of a Xavier Legette or is he a true alpha? There's a lot of AJ Brown comps out there because from a physical standpoint, all I'm going to say is he's explosive and he's powerful. We'll see where he goes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I didn't watch much tape, but just by looking at his stats, yeah, he's definitely a big receiver, and yeah, he puts up numbers. I know you were saying he got injured this year, but yeah, still put up 917 average 12.7 yard catch. That's pretty good. Comp, I would have to say off the bat, AJ Brown. I agree with size. Also, I'm blanking on it. That receiver from Houston, notorious with the fight against Cortland Sutton. I'm blanking on his name, but he kind of also has that kind of stature. So I'm excited to see how where he gets
from and
how he will be used.
Like Houston Texans or Houston college?
No, Andre Johnson.
Oh, Andre Johnson. Gotcha. Andre Johnson. Yeah, I can see that. I think they're both around 6'2", 6'3", but they're just big boys, man. Powerful, very strong. Another guy like that's the same kind of build.
They could run and catch the ball.
Yeah, definitely. Another guy that I kind of want to bring up who's in the similar kind of build is Elijah Surratt of the national champion Indiana Hoosiers. Also another stocky guy, 6'2", 210. He's an older guy, older prospect. The funny thing is like when you I think he kind of wears a skull cap too, and the way he kind of presents himself on post-game interviews and when he takes his helmet off, I kind of look like it's like younger version of Keenan Allen in a way. and he kind of plays like him too. He's not the fastest guy. He understands space. He wins one-on-ones. A young Keenan Allen was a one-on-one demon. So I really just kind of likened his game to a Keenan Allen. Very savvy with his route running because he's not the fastest guy, so he's got to win with nuance and technicality, and he did that. He mossed I think it was Davison Igbinosun of Ohio State, and then in their game, man, it was just a no contest, man. Like this, I like this guy. He caught the game winner against Iowa, an Oregon game. He went 8 for 121. He had plenty of 100-yard games as well. I think he's more of a cerebral guy as well, but he can produce for fantasy rosters. I don't think he's going to be a breakout. However, I think he can still produce for the format that we are currently drafting in best ball. He won't give you zeros, I don't think. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I really like Surratt. I know he had Fernando Mendoza as a quarterback in college, but 830 yards, 15 touchdowns. Let's not talk about that. That's pretty incredible. I think his combine performance, I know we'll get into a deep dive on it later on in this series, but he performed pretty good. I think he could have performed a little bit better in my opinion, but I'm curious to see where he's going to be drafted, and he should be a solid wide receiver 3 next year, so definitely think best ball formats for sure.
Do you want to talk about his teammate Omar Cooper Jr., who is now no longer a sleeper? I've been hearing his name everywhere. So if you think you're trying to sneak Omar Cooper Jr. into rookie drafts, I don't think he's going to be a sleeper name anymore. He is talked about a ton nowadays. But what do you think about Omar Cooper Jr.? And I'll piggyback off you.
Yeah, I really like Omar Cooper Jr. He had some spectacular catches in college. He could run the deep ball. His combine performance pretty good. He only did the 40 in the vertical in those testing. He ran a 4.42 40 and a 37-inch vertical jump. He's not the biggest guy, and he's not the fastest guy. Those are pretty good scores overall for a receiver. I would like to see him. I guess I would like to see him run the slants a little bit more often, but that's just a personal preference as well. But I think having the right quarterback to throw to next year will definitely. It's all up in the air how he'll do, but he's not a sleeper by any means. I think he'll go probably early second round in most drafts.
I can see that. Yeah, I think people will start falling in love with him as the draft process heats up. He was another one that people were talking about, Debo again, because he was mainly a slot guy in college. I think it was over 80% in the slot. So again, when I was talking about on the previous episodes of slot only guys and how that's kind of disappearing, if you will, I wouldn't say disappearing is probably the wrong word, but pulling back again, just the amount of 12 personnel versus 11 personnel that are going on with these NFL offenses now. So the 3 wide receiver sets are just kind of just not out there as often as they used to be. So if he's really only a slot guy, so the versatility, the opportunity might not be there and early out in his career, unless, again, he lands in the perfect spot again. I think his biggest comp, if things go right, and also kind of a median comp, would be like a Jarvis Landry. When I was watching him, he's not the fastest guy either, but he's still really technical in his route running, and then makes highlight catches. Again, these LSU guys back in the day, man, just made all the kind of highlight catches. Jarvis Landry with the one-hand grabs, and that play at the buzzer against Penn State, when you were talking about highlight reel catches, how did he get his foot down? Okay. I mean, that was probably one of the most insane catches that I've seen in college football over the past 5-10 years, maybe. It was absurd. I watched that game as soon as I was like turning it on. I was like, oh my God, is there going to get, or is Indiana going to finally get beat? And I watched that last like fourth quarter, and it was a great game. But if you guys have not watched that game, please go turn on that tape. And you can obviously experience that highlight reel catch. I got a few more names. We're at just under the 30-minute mark here. I wish we had an audience to give us a couple of names they want to do. But do you have anything? I mean, I also have on the show sheet if you're on it, Nick. Do you want to look at any of those names in honorable mention category? Maybe one of those names highlighted in the combine under you. I do have Malik Benson. Do you want to talk about Malik Benson a little bit?
Yeah, I really liked Malik Benson, and at Oregon last year, he put up some really good numbers. Let's see.
While you're looking that up,
he had I think like 700 some yards. Yeah, he's a pretty. Oh no, you can go ahead.
No, continue, man. It was a little lag. I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
Oh no, he's a little bit bigger of a receiver, height wise, a little bit small. 195 pounds, 6'1", but he had 719 yards. 6 touchdowns, 43 receptions. And granted, if you watch his tape and you know much of Oregon, last year they had a pretty competitive wide receiver room. I mean, decoring more of that still ended up getting hurt. I mean, Malik Benson, obviously, Kenny and Sadiq, and then those plethora of running backs that they had. So, yeah, it's a pretty competitive wide receiver. But he still commanded target shares, and he put up the yardage to show for it. I don't know why he's not being considered as like one of the higher up wide receivers for this draft, but he definitely has potential to slide in there, and I don't think he's considered a sleeper in my opinion.
I honestly have not been touching him in current best balls, but like as far as a rookie draft, I think he's worth definitely a flyer in that mid to late third round. I think he'll still be there. Of course, maybe this pod might pub him up a little bit more, get people tuned in. Maybe they start watching some highlights of him as well. I also wanted to bring up Ted Hurst out of Georgia State. I think he's a burner. I think he also had a pretty good combine as well. I believe he tested. And I think he's one of those names that is kind of a sizzle name, if you will. I think there's some of these small schools, obviously don't get a lot of pub, but he's a name that's been discussed and at least brought up more and more. He can surprise. I think he runs his routes pretty crisply for, again, a small school guy. Not a lot of pub there. Bryce Lance is another name, the younger brother of Trey Lance. A lot of Christian Watson comps going on with him. I don't know how fair or real those are. I think this is just like his one highlight, if you will, by being at the combine running a 4.3. He's a 6'3"-ish receiver. I don't see too much of his production profile being there. Also a small school as well. Is there anyone that maybe, I guess, lost some stock with either their combine performance or just maybe other people who had a good combine kind of overstepped them in your estimation?
Oh, like overshadowed.
Yeah.
I don't know for I don't really know. I mean, it was generally a pretty good combine, and I never really thought of that. Like, did anybody really steal the spotlight? I wasn't really paying attention to that in that regard. I was just looking at their um, individual performances. I mean, granted, I mean, I'll watch the 40s and stuff, and I'll be like, "Whoa, this guy did better than this guy." But when I review the tape and assess for how these guys will go, NFL wise and fantasy wise, I don't really compare in that circumstance. But yeah, I think a guy who really did rise, in my opinion, was Dion Burks. I know his performance at Oklahoma was kind of variable on that's John Mateer. He kind of took a dip when Mateer got hurt, but Dion Brooks through 40, so he definitely still has he has the potential to be a good wide receiver in the league. I think he'd be best suited in best ball this year, or maybe like a dynasty taxi stash. But yeah, I definitely think his stock definitely improved. I think pretty significantly too.
I heard and read a little bit more about Malachi Fields kind of let down after having a good Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl practices, things of that nature, everybody was raving about him. I think he had a little bit of a letdown, obviously in the game and then into the combine. So I think he might have lost a little bit of stock. But overall, he's got a great catch radius. He didn't really put it on display. I was expecting a lot from him preseason going into last college season. I thought when they brought him in as a transfer that Notre Dame with the new quarterback, CJ Carr, the running game that they had, I thought, like, they finally got a weapon. They're not going to just be able to stack the box against this team. But he didn't really flash enough on film. So I was happy that he had a good Senior Bowl because he was showing NFL scouts what he can do, but he didn't really put that on the field again. And it's just like in the game, maybe he's not a gamer. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a red flag there on him. Chris Brazzell, guys, no, look, I will be an anti-Tennessee volunteer prospect touter until they prove me wrong. I was against Jalen Hyatt. I'm not a fan of who was the last year's one. I forget. Someone was highlighting another Tennessee guy.
Dylan Sampson.
Who?
Dylan Sampson.
Dylan Sampson. Oh, no, I meant the receivers. Receivers only, particularly. There was another one.
Carter. No. Yeah.
No. Anyway, they just have not been productive. They did not translate into the NFL until that offense kind of changes to more of an NFL style offense because there's a lot of 9 routes, there's a lot of 7 routes, and just a lot of stuff right at the line of scrimmage. Again, there's no really nuance to that game. And also, Jalen Hyatt actually had more production, I think, than Chris Brazel the second here. 4.37 40, cool. The guy was, again, he's a vertical specialist. Just beware on that. I'm more than happy to be wrong on him, but I'm anti-Tennessee volunteer prospects till further notice. Who else before we let it here? I already touched on Bryce Lance, red flag there. Is there anybody dark horse wise that you're taking in rounds 20 through 26 right now in best ball that you're like, oh, just take a flyer on him because he could be something special, or back in the rookie round, like thirds and fourth rounders that you particularly are keying eye on?
Just because I think he probably will get there, just because I think he's kind of being slept upon, and I know I hinted upon him earlier. But yeah, Malik Benson, just circling back, his combine performance really stuck out. 4.37 40, 32.5 vertical, and 10-foot 2-inch broad jump. So he doesn't have the hops like most receivers have, but he has the speed. So I think he would be a good dark horse pick for me, or somebody kind of like depending on where he lands, Skylar Bell, Bryce Lance too would be really good. Yeah, and I disagree with the Brazzell take. I watched a lot of Tennessee volunteer football, and I watched a lot of Tennessee volunteer football. I agree. He should run the slants a little bit more. I think he would perform well. But yeah, he's a deep ball specialist. He has the speed. I would kind of like it for him to make up make up for it in the hops too. But I mean, beggars can't be choosers, right? But I think he will surprise people when he gets drafted to a team, and I think he will put Tennessee back on the map to be a college team that could produce good receivers as well.
I just thought of the name, by the way. It was last year. It was Dante Thornton. I don't know how I forgot it because he's a Raider, but Dante Thornton was the Tennessee receiver that everyone's got in preseason. Oh, it's over. He's the receiver target. He barely got targeted again. Neither did Jack Besh, and I was touting him too. But let's see how next year goes. Let's move on to this year. But there's one guy that we haven't highlighted yet that I think is losing some stock, and I think it's a value. So my take here is Zachariah Branch. Yes, I did say that he's kind of also in that gadgety realm, but I think it's just the way Georgia used him. I didn't see as much of what he was asked to do at Georgia when he was at USC. I think he could do the full route tree. He's a gamer. He loves football. The guy's super passionate. When he makes a big play, big first down, the little sellies and everything. He's juiced up. So I kind of liken him to a Tyreek Light because he's very twitchy too when he moves. And I'm not going to put too much stock into this, but because it's a treadmill, but rumored that he put 26 miles an hour on a treadmill, which is pretty damn fast. Again, but treadmills can kind of keep you going. So I don't know if it's like full, by himself. So anyway, second in the nation at yards after catch, 87.1% catch rate. So there's a little bit of a drop concern there, but he earned targets throughout his career at a 25% clip. So again, I think that there's something there. Again, the red flags are there. I think that he is a sleeper though, and someone that can surprise, assuming landing spot is favorable. All right. So that's my take. We can wrap this up under 40 minutes, which will be great. Any final thoughts? And do you want to just tease out kind of what we're looking at when it comes from rankings and drafting episodes coming up?
Yes, I think definitely we could even have a guest on the pod next time. And if we just did like a 3-person, it could be sleeper, it could be just Rookieville, 1-1, 1-2 who you taking. But I think that would be pretty cool because I mean I have a good understanding what our picks are, but I'd like to see what somebody else's picks are because I mean fantasy football drafts could go. I mean rankings are pretty fluid, but they could vary greatly by leagues. So it would always be nice to see, especially because it helps us get better. In Ballsville, it's about the formula is about making the home leagues. You guys produce well in your guys' home leagues, and that's what we want at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I just kind of thought of one on the spot, and I probably want to put this out for kind of like a poll, if you will. So maybe in the comments or in Discord, I'll bring this up to our Ballsville community. Is if you want to kind of see, because we've been talking about landing spot this entire time, maybe we can do kind of like our own prediction episode of, hey, I want to see this prospect in this uniform, and we kind of do that, and we could probably put a fantasy spin behind that if you guys would like that, where we could kind of see some of these ceiling cops take place, or you're like, hey, I'm worrisome that they do land here because of the team need, and then it doesn't really fit. So we can also kind of see how it could impact negatively based on team needs. And I have a whole sheet on team needs right now, and I think it'll be a cool way to instead of just keep telling you guys ad nauseum landing spot, we can probably play a little prediction episode there too. So if you guys like that idea, give us some feedback, and we'll try to get that going for you guys as well. But Nick, you can close us out.
Yeah, it's been a good time, and I've enjoyed talking wide receivers. I would encourage you guys to all rewatch the combine. I mean, the receivers, every position really stood out, and they all performed super well. So I'm excited to touch base on the rookies and up to the NFL draft.
And of course, your hotspot starts working like flawlessly right at the end too, Nick. That's a damn shame. Like you're perfect right now. I got that happen. Anyway, if you guys stayed at the end of this pod due to Nick's technical difficulties of this pod, you know what? Drop Rookieville in the comment section. We'll do a random drawing, and I will sponsor a mini game entry because you stuck with us to the end of this episode. So, Nick, make sure we drop a subtle hint when we drop this episode with Alex that watch till the end. So that's all we're gonna say. I will do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, guys.
Yep. Well, anyways, catch you guys on the next one.
Take care.